Good morning, my dear students. I welcome you to the fourth and final episode of Chapter 11, Transportation in Plants and Animals. So far, we have learned about circulation under this topic. We have learned about circulation in humans as well as transportation in plants. Under this topic, we have learned about certain experiments. For example, we have learned about potato osmoscope. And now in today's class, we'll go to the next part of this transportation, that is excretion. And today we are going to learn about excretion in animals, that is excretion in humans, followed by excretion in plants. Shall we begin? And let us move on to the next part of this transportation, that is excretion. When it comes to this excretion, let us start with the excretion in animals and then we'll go to excretion in plants. In case of excretion in animals, where you come across a system that is involved in the excretion. Actually, I would say there are three excretion that are taking place in animals and humans. One, the excretion of carbon dioxide from the lungs. Carbon dioxide as well as water vapor, they are excreted out under the concept of breathing. Second is the skin that excretes sweat. The gland that is involved in the excretion of the sweat is known as sweat glands, which are found in the skin. And actually, there are two kinds of glands that are found in the skin. One is a sweat gland and a sebaceous gland. Sweat gland excretes sweat, which is none other than, that is, sweat is none other than excess water and some unrequired minerals. So that's why sweat is salty in nature, because it comprises of water as well as some mineral salts. Second is sebaceous gland, which excretes oil, which is not only excretion but also which is good for your skin. So we have these two glands, sweat glands and sebaceous gland, which stands as second. One is excretion of carbon dioxide, water from the lungs. Second one is excretion of sweat from the skin. And third comes important excretion, that is what we are going to learn briefly, that is excretion of urine. Okay, so urine is none other than excretion of nitrogenous waste. So waste that contains a high amount of nitrogen, which is not good for your health. So this should be removed, and this is done by excretory system. This excretory system comprises of kidneys, ureter, urinary bladder and urethra. So all these are placed inside your body, and these are the organs that are involved in the excretion of nitrogenous waste. And there is also another important organ which is mainly involved in excretion, which you don't come across in books of lower standards, that is liver. Liver is the main organ which is involved in the excretion of nitrogenous waste from the blood. So this nitrogenous waste comes to the blood from each and every cell. I hope you understand. Each and every cell, like how it excretes carbon dioxide, it also excretes other waste. Among those waste, one important waste is nitrogenous waste. And this nitrogenous waste from the blood is excreted by means of kidneys. So a kidney excretes almost 180 liters to 200 liters of urine per day, which comprises of more amount of water. Generally, urine comprises of almost 95% of water and some 2.5% of urine and 2.5% of other waste. This total 180 to 200 liters of water is reduced to 1 or 1.5 or 2 liters of water, and this is mainly done by our kidneys. That is, the excess water that is excreted is reduced to almost 1 or 2 liters. Imagine 180 to 200 liters is reduced to 1 to 2 liters. So this is the specialty of kidneys, and hence kidneys are known as osmoregulatory organ. The function of kidneys, apart from excretion, we call it as osmoregulation, where it reduces the amount of water in the urine. Similarly, we have another organ in our body under digestive system, which is none other than large intestine. This large intestine is also involved in the reduction of water. That is, when we consume water and food, All these are digested, absorbed, and after small intestine it reaches large intestine where the amount of water is reabsorbed, and that is why we excrete the feces in the form of solid, and that's why we call it as solid waste. If there is no large intestine and if there is no kidneys, what will happen is more amount of water will be lost in the form of urine or feces. So this is the importance of large intestine in digestive system, as well as the importance of kidneys in the excretory system. They reduce the amount of water such that you excrete only small amount of water along with urine, or you excrete a small amount of water under feces in the name of feces. So this is the main importance of kidneys. They are involved in osmoregulation, that is they reduce that 180 liters of urine to 1 or 2 liters of urine. So this is the specialty of kidneys. Now let us learn the structure of kidneys. So kidneys, they are bean-shaped structures which are found almost at the mid-dorsal region of our body. So we have one on the right hand side and one on the left hand side. From there you come across the arisal of other parts which we are going to learn. Okay, so kidney, the shape of the kidney is bean shape. I hope you know the shape of the bean. So what is the shape of the bean? Shape of the bean is kidney shape. Okay, so vice versa. Okay, so both are of the same shapes. So let us learn first the structure of the excretory system. Right, so this is the excretory system of humans. So this first picture which shows the location of kidneys, almost below the rib bones. At the end of the rib bones you have a pair of kidneys. Okay, so that's what I mentioned just now. So from this pair of kidneys, a long tube arises known as ureter, which joins to the bladder known as urinary bladder, and the opening of this urinary bladder is known as urethra. Now come to this picture where the magnified of human excretory system is found. So these are the two pairs of kidneys which looks like a bean. Okay, bean shaped kidneys, one on the right hand side and other on the left hand side. So this is an internal structure of a kidney. So time being this is not necessary. So basically you have a pair of kidneys. From these kidneys a pair of tubes arises. So from these kidneys the tubular structure that arises is known as ureter, and these two ureters they join in a muscular bag like structure known as urinary bladder, and the opening of the urinary bladder is known as urethra. So these are the simple parts of an excretory system of humans. So actually excretion takes place in this region, and those excretory waste, that is nitrogenous waste, that is none other than urine, they are collected in this ureter and they flow through both the ureters, and that nitrogenous waste or urine are filled in this urinary bladder. And when the urinary bladder is almost full, you feel like urinating, and immediately you go for urine, and that waste that is found in the urinary bladder, they are sent out through this opening known as urethra. As I said before, all these are inbuilt, nothing is found outside. A pair of kidneys, a pair of ureter, urinary bladder and urethra. So this is the structure of excretory system. And actually like how a brain is made up of a nervous system, you come across this excretory system or kidneys, they are made up of numerous nephrons. So this is the structure of one nephron. Like that, millions of nephrons will be found in each kidney, and they are the ones which are involved in the excretion of the nitrogenous waste, or I would say they are the ones which are involved in the osmoregulation, that is removal of excess water from the nitrogenous waste or removal of excess water from the urine. So that is the work of the nephron. Okay, so I would say nephrons are the structural and functional units of kidneys, or kidneys are made up of nephrons. In other words, I can say kidneys are made up of millions of nephrons. So millions of nephrons will be found inside the kidneys, and they are the ones which are involved in the excretion of nitrogenous waste from the blood. And again and again I repeat, the main function of kidneys is, apart from excretion, it is involved in osmoregulation. So keep this in mind, osmoregulation. Okay. Pair of kidneys, a pair of ureter, urinary bladder and the urethra. Again I repeat, excretory system of humans comprise of a pair of kidneys, a pair of ureter, urinary bladder and the urethra. So these two are the blood vessels which actually involved in bringing the nitrogenous waste to the kidneys, and other blood vessel after excretion it brings the good blood to other cells. So these are the two blood vessels, one is artery and other is vein, which one brings nitrogenous waste containing blood to the kidneys, and after excretion another blood vessel removes the purified blood from the kidneys. Okay. My dear guys, based on the nitrogenous waste that is excreted from the animals are classified into three types as ammonotelic animals, uricotelic animals and the ureotelic animals. That is, in case of fishes, the nitrogenous waste is excreted in the form of ammonia, and so they are known as ammonotelic animals. Okay, so since ammonia is excreted in the form of nitrogenous waste, they are known as ammonotelic animals. Example, fishes. In case of birds and lizards, the excretion will contain uric acid. The nitrogenous waste will be in the form of uric acid, and so they are known as uricotelic animals. Birds and lizards are known as uricotelic animals. And finally, in mammals, including humans, the nitrogenous waste is in the form of urea, and so they are known as ureotelic animals. If it is ammonia, it is known as ammonotelic animals. If it is uric acid, it is known as ureotelic animals. And if it is urea, it is known as ureotelic animals. The example of ammonotelic animals, fishes. Birds and lizards are the examples of uricotelic animals, and mammals are the examples of ureotelic animals. This also you keep in mind. You will learn this in higher classes.
Like excretion found in animals, we have excretion also found in plants. This we call it as transpiration. So transpiration is a means by which excess water is lost in the form of water vapor. Like how in plants we have sweating where water is lost. Similarly we have urine, again here also water is lost, and like that in plants we have loss of water, excess water in the form of water vapor, and this process is known as transpiration. Apart from transpiration, we also have a certain other means of excretion found in different plants. Maybe you learned this in higher classes. That is, in some plants this excreta, that is certain nitrogenous waste, they are sent or are taken to old dry leaves which are about to wither or fall from the plants. So when the leaves fall, along with that the excreta is also removed from the plant. This is one method found in some plants. Second, in some plants we come across the excreta is sent out in the form of latex or resin or gum, etc. So even rubber. Okay, so certain materials are secreted by the barks of the stem, which you call it as latex or resin, gum, etc., or oil, etc. So along with these substances, the excreta is also sent out. So this is the second method of excretion found in certain plants. And the third, in some other plants, like how we urinate near the soil surface, near the branches that are found near the soil surface, the nitrogenous waste are sent out directly through the barks of the stem or barks of the tree. So this is another kind of excretion. So this you might not have heard, so just learn that we come across excretion even in case of plants. Apart from that, the main part of the lesson that is given in a book is transpiration, where excess water is sent out in the form of water vapor. Then Transpiration has many uses. You learn in higher classes, maybe in 9th standard you will learn. Main two functions or importance or advantage of a transpiration is it is involved in the cooling mechanism, like how when we sweat our body is actually cooled, our body temperature is maintained. You might have recognized this. When you are doing some sports or exercise, your body gets warmed up, and to maintain that temperature, immediately sweat comes, and when you touch the body you will feel chillness, and that chillness slowly comes back to normal. So the body temperature is maintained by sweating. Similarly, in rainy season the body temperature is maintained by urination. Like that, in plants the body temperature is maintained by transpiration. So this is the first advantage of transpiration. And the second advantage of transpiration is that is the more the transpiration, that is the more the water is sent out from the shoot system, the water that is absorbed by the root is sent upwards against gravitational force. So you call this as ascent of sap. The movement of water from the root system towards the shoot system is known as ascent of sap, and transpiration helps in ascent of sap. Okay, so these are the two advantages of transpiration.
So this is the experiment to prove transpiration taking place in plants. We have another experiment to prove the transpiration taking place through the stomata of the leaves. So we will come to that later. So here it is known as bell jar experiment. It is known as bell jar because it looks like a bell. The jar, the glass jar looks like a bell, and hence it is known as bell jar experiment. So I am taking two bell jars, and inside I have to take two plants, well water potted plants. It should be covered, the soil surface should be covered with, in both the cases, with a plastic paper firmly, such that the soil is not exposed outside. Only the stem, you make a hole and cover the whole pot with the plastic cover. Close this bell jar, and before closing, in one plant you remove all the leaves, and at the end tip of the leaf at the tip of the branches you apply Vaseline such that no water comes out of the plant. Okay, I am covering the soil as well as the branches from which the leaves are removed. So in the first case, what happens is I have closed soil as well as the branches, so there will not be transpiration taking place. Water will not come out of the plants because I have locked the openings. So the jar will be clear. But in the second case, so this is taken as a control. Okay. In second case, where you come across again the soil surface is closed, but you find the leaves with the stomata, and in this case transpiration takes place, and that results in, after some time you will find many water droplets on the inner surface of the jar. This shows transpiration has taken place through leaves, and this is a bell jar experiment. Okay, first case there is no chance of water coming out since I have locked the openings. Similarly, I have closed the soil. So here also water will not come out. This side also water will not come out. But in the second case, so where transpiration actually takes place through the leaves, and because of that, those water droplets, they will be found in the inner surface of the bell jar. This proves transpiration takes place through leaves, or transpiration takes place through stomata. And finally, we are going to learn an experiment by which we are going to prove that the number of stomata is more on the lower surface of the leaf compared to the upper surface. So we all know that transpiration takes place through stomata, and stomata is none other than minute holes that are found in the leaves. Minute microscopic holes that are found on the leaves are known as stomata, through which two processes takes place. One, respiration. Respiration takes place through stomata, and second, transpiration. That is, transpiration also takes place through stomata. So by this experiment, what I am going to describe now, I'm going to prove that the number of stomata is more on the lower surface compared to the upper surface. And one more advantage of this number of stomata on the lower surface is if there is more stomata on the upper surface, more transpiration will take place, and because of that, more loss of water will be there in the plants. Since more number of stomata is on the lower surface of the leaves compared to upper surface, the transpiration rate is controlled and the loss of water is also controlled. Okay, now let us see this experiment to prove that number of stomata is more on the lower surface compared to the upper surface.
First, let us prepare a cobalt chloride solution. Take some cobalt chloride in a beaker and mix it firmly with the water. Now place some filter papers, dip them in this cobalt chloride solution and allow them to dry. When these filter papers dry, that is the filter paper with the cobalt chloride solution, when they dry they turn into blue color. The specialty of cobalt chloride dipped filter papers is that cobalt chloride, when they react with water, they turn into pink color. So this is the specialty of cobalt chloride solution or cobalt chloride paper which you have prepared. Now let us cut them into small pieces of almost equal sizes. So we have to place one strip on the upper surface of the leaf and equally another cobalt chloride filter paper on the other side of the leaf. We have to close these both sides with a glass slide and just seal them with a tape such that no water from the atmosphere enters into this paper and disturbs our experiment. And after some time we can find that the cobalt chloride paper on the lower surface will turn into pink, followed by the paper on the upper surface, which means that the lower surface of the leaves have more stomata, and through these leaves transpiration has taken place, whereas on the upper surface of the leaves stomata are comparatively low or less, and because of this the paper turns into pink but slow compared to the lower surface. So this shows that there are more number of stomata on the lower surface of the leaves than the upper surface.
With this, we'll end today's class. The lesson is over. So your duty is to just not simply looking at the class, but to read the lesson. Apart from reading the exercises and question answers, your duty is to read the lesson such that you understand this concept, you memorize the concepts, and as I said in the beginning of this lesson, all these concepts you will get in higher classes, especially in 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th, and also in colleges. So this is the basic foundation of all the higher concepts that you are going to learn in future. So everything is simple, everything is needed, very important. So go through the lesson, read the important words that are found in these concepts, okay, like parts of the heart or the tissues that are involved in transportation, etc. So my best wishes for your exams and for your future. May God bless you always. Thank you.